Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Pearse McLaughlin.
Hi, how you
Oh,
doing?
yeah, I'm okay. On today's podcast, we'll be discussing all the Scottish Premier League news, which includes reacting to the weekend's Glasgow derby and also reacting to the departure of Robbie Neilson. We will also be previewing the upcoming Champions League quarter-final matches, and at the end of the podcast, Pearse will give a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So coming up next, we'll be reacting to the weekend's Glasgow derby. So on Saturday, the 8th of April, Celtic defeated Rangers 3-2, which means that Celtic have extended their gap at the top of the league by 12 points. Pearse, what was your reaction to the match overall?
Um, it was a very good match, to be honest. I kind of knew there would be Rangers would come out the blocks flying in terms of like the high press, high energy. Because like the last couple of occasions where they played Celtic would have kind of sat in and hoped to hit in the break, and they've just allowed Celtic just too much time to just pick them off. But I thought Rangers played well in terms of intensity, but at the end of the day, the result was down to mistakes by individuals defensively. And when you've got somebody like Kyogo Furuhashi up front, he doesn't tend to miss in big opportunities. Whereas you look at someone like Alfredo Morelos, he might need 4 or 5 opportunities to score one goal, whereas Kyogo only needs one chance, it's a goal. But in terms, I thought Rangers played a lot better. But at the end of the day, I thought Celtic played very poorly, considering they had the home crowd behind them, 60,000. There's a lot of, unlike Celtic this season, a lot of slack passes. Um, and I felt as if like they felt maybe a wee bit pressured, like as if they just weren't at it. I thought Rangers wanted it a bit more, but at the end of the day, it was just individual errors at the back that cost Rangers, and Celtic went away with 3-2 winners. But it was a very good spectacle in terms of as a neutral. Um, yeah, it was a good match to watch, and 12 points. I think that's now kind of unassailable.
Yeah, as a neutral, I mean, the game was brilliant. Not if you're a Celtic Rangers fan, you'd probably be really nervous. But yeah, I do agree with what you said about mistakes in the match. There was a lot of mistakes. I think a lot of people at the start of the match, because there was no Rangers fans there, and because of the previous results at Parkhead, I think everybody thought that Celtic would come out really quick, get 2 goals in the first quarter of the match, and get the game finished. But it didn't. It didn't go out. It didn't come that way. I felt both teams were a little bit apprehensive. Celtic weren't really passing the ball well. Um, which kind of I think that kind of gave Rangers a bit more confidence, and then they kind of got a hold of the ball, and you could see they were kind of growing into the game. But as you said, there was a lot of mistakes in the match, and when you've got a guy like Kyogo, if you give him even half a chance, he's going to take it. I thought Rangers did well in terms of cutting off Cal McGregor, who's Celtic's probably the biggest player. Every time Celtic had the ball in defence, it was either Tillman or it was Ryan Kent. They were kind of blocking off Cal McGregor getting the ball,
Hmm.
so that kind of disrupted Celtic trying to get up the park. Um, but uh, listen, at the end of the day, Celtic won the match. They get the 3 points, and they're now 3 points clear. Sorry, now they're 12 points clear. I was going to ask you about the disallowed goal that Rangers. So Rangers could have taken the lead in the match when Alfredo Morelos scored, but the referee disallowed it. Do you think the referee made the right decision, or do you think he didn't?
I think the referee did make the right decision, although it was a very soft foul. But when you have hands, although the both of them were grappling with each other, um, he did have the hand at his back at the last minute before he could start his jump. And any contact can put you off balance, and it gives the attacker the advantage. So for me, it was the right decision. Although a lot of people are saying it's the wrong decision, it was the right decision, and even the SFA have backed that up with Rangers' complaint. It was the correct decision. Although if Rangers did take lead at a time, it could have been a different game. Obviously, early on in the game, it was obviously early in the first half.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I didn't see anything wrong. And then I saw the replay, and again, I thought that it was very, very soft. Um, but when you study it more, Morelos does have two hands on Johnson's back, but at the same time, Johnson is he's kind of pulling Morelos as well. So the both of them were kind of had contact with each other, but from where the referee was standing, I think he kind of sees it as Morelos pushing Johnston, and because Johnston's went down, that's why he's blown the whistle. I think if you're a Celtic fan, you're going to think it's disallowed. If you're a Rangers fan, you're going to think it's a goal. But like, if you think of it as a neutral, like both sides, there is arguments to say that it should have stood, and there's arguments to say that it shouldn't have stood. Um, but it was a very soft goal. It was a very soft kind of goal to disallow. Um, and well, at the end of the day, the SFA have come back and said that they see no problems with it. So
And you also
you
had
know,
the decision early in the season as well, opening game of the season at the Tony Macaroni Arena, where Golson was similar thing was pushed in the back, and he jumped up as if he'd been shot, and Livingston scored, and it was disallowed. So you can't have your cake and eat it. Like, if you get one for you, then and you're saying it's a foul, and it gives you the 3 points, and another one where you score it and you're like, oh, it should have stood. Then for me, it's like it's give and take. Like you have to fight. It's for it. To be honest, it's like I think it's like what a lot of people want from the referees in the VAR is consistency, and I think with that decision, it was consistent with what was given early in the season.
yeah, I mean that's a good point. I think a lot of Rangers' frustration comes from the fact that they went one that would have made them go 1-0 up in the game. I'm not sure if they would have been as frustrated if, let's say, they were losing the match. But I think it's because they would have went 1-0 up in the game. The game could have went a lot different. So I understand where they're coming from, the fact that it's such a big goal to disallow, because that the game could have been different at the end of the day. But you know, can't do much about it now. That you know the goal was disallowed. So as previously stated, this now means that Celtic are 12 points clear at the top of the table. So Pearse, do you think that means that Celtic will now go on to win the league?
Mathematically, it's not done, but for me, it's virtually done. I think Rangers will now just focus solely on the Scottish Cup semi-final at the end of the month. And they will rest players, and they might drop off even further. Whereas I think Celtic will still want to get maximum points. They'll use the squad a bit more here and there, but Celtic will want to break that records points total and record goals total. So for them, there's still motivation there, and obviously they want to finish off the treble in the cup as well. But if you get a double and you get maximum points total and record goals, I think they'll be pretty happy as well. Whereas Rangers, I think the pressure is on them to win that Scottish Cup semi-final to give them a chance to silver the season, because Michael Beale will be under extreme scrutiny from the fan base, even though he's done a remarkable job, only lost one game so far in his reign. But as you know, when you're manager of Celtic or Rangers, like the scrutiny is very high. You're expected to win every single match. But for me, I think the title was done.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to agree. We talked about this last week. I said it was kind of win or bust for Rangers. If they didn't win, then I don't think they can catch Celtic. And the fact Celtic have won 12 points clear with a handful of games to go, I mean, it would be a catastrophe if Celtic were to go on to lose this title. So I do think, although it's not mathematically done, I do think Celtic will go on to win the title. Um, and as you said, they're about the same final coming up. If Rangers want any chance of winning anything this season, then that game for them's probably their last chance of the season to claim something. So, yeah, no, but go back to the question, that does look like Celtic are runaway leaders now. So, in other Scottish Premier League news, Hearts released a statement on Sunday, the 9th of April, which confirmed that Robbie Neilson had parted company with the club after a defeat by St Mirren the day before. So, Pearse, what was your reaction when you heard that Robbie Neilson had left the club?
It was a bit of both. I was a bit shocked, but also not at the same time because like, Hearts are one of the only clubs in the SPFL that are like fan owned. And watching the highlights on Sports Scene on the weekend, they're just well off at Hearts. I don't know what it is. It's like that's now 5 games in a row they lost, and considering they were comfortably in third, and now Aberdeen, who sacked their manager Jim Goodwin after terrible run results, they were third before the World Cup. Then after it, they dropped down to like eighth. Now they're only like a couple of points behind them. So it just shows you how far Hearts have went off the boil. Maybe that's down to lack of confidence. Injuries, they have had a lot of injuries this season, to be honest. But I do think Robbie Neilson's a good, very good manager, and I do think he will get another job. But I do think it's what else could he have done at Hearts? He has been very unlucky in terms of injuries, but when you have 5 defeats in a row, the fans do start to question. And in fact, the fans kind of own majority shareholder of the club, then I think the boos are ringing it out at the final whistle, and I don't think they're very happy. So I think they've not been happy. Even in the Championship, when they get promoted with record points, they were still complaining. So I think the Hearts fans, you need to be careful what you wish for because they could be back in the Championship if not next season, obviously, but you know what I mean. Like, look at Aberdeen when they get a day like McInnes, when after he consistently getting like second and third in cup semi-finals, cup finals, they'd be lucky to get anywhere near that now. Whereas Hearts, I think it's a poor decision. I think it's a knee-jerk reaction, to be honest.
Yeah, I, I was shocked to be honest. I knew that they were on a bad run, and obviously Aberdeen on Saturday took over, went third, and Hearts dropped below, even though Hearts had a big, massive points difference. But like since Robbie Neilson took over in 2020, when Hearts were back in the Championship, he's gotten promoted back into the league. They've finished third ever since they've come back into the league, and they've been in cup finals, and they've had a chance at, and they've had a crack at European football. So I just think it's a bit unfair the fact that you know this has been his worst run since he came back as Hearts manager, and he kind of got the sack. It doesn't really sit well, but when I look at it from a Hearts board point of view, I think they might have looked at Aberdeen when Jim Goodwin got sacked, and Aberdeen were in a really bad run of form, and Barry Robson came in as interim, and since he's come in, they've went on a really good run, and they're now in third. So
Mhm.
maybe Hearts have looked at it and thought that they need that bounce, that kind of new manager bounce, that kind of fresh idea, where Hearts can kind of get back on track and finish third. Because when like they've had injuries this season, but when you look at Hearts squads, you would say it's probably the third best squad in the league, and they should be third quite comfortably. Um, but it's a massive decision. And it's one of the decisions where it could go either way. It could set Hearts back quite a bit, or they could benefit from it. Um, so no, it's a really massive decision. So it's too hard to kind of predict this right now. But do you think they've made the right decision? Do you think they should have stuck by Robbie Neilson, or do you think it's the right one?
I think they made the wrong decision. I think they should stuck by him. Because he has got the quality. He's shown, like you said, that this is his worst. This is worst run of form in his tenure. So it hurts, and I think he had enough to turn it around. He said it himself in the interview, post match interview. Like he said, you just need to go down, dust yourselves down, me included, and just kind of figure out the solutions to turn it around. But obviously, the day after they just sack him. But no, I think he could have easily have turned it around. Look, you look at that squad, like you said, that squad is the third best in the country. They've had a lot of serious injuries like Craig Halkett, Liam Boyce, to name a few. So, and they've got players like Snodgrass as well. They've got quality throughout that squad, and like Lauren Shankland up front as well. So, no, I think there's a knee jerk reaction, and they may come to rue that because I don't see them getting third now. I see Aberdeen staying there.
I mean, yeah, I mean, at the moment, I think it's a I think it's really tough for Robbie Neilson. You know, I think he deserved probably until the end of the season. Um, but uh, you know, you've got Stephen Naismith coming in now as interim, and you know, it's hard to predict. You don't know what's going to happen. But uh, I think at the moment they've made the wrong decision. But you know, I could change my mind on Saturday if Hearts go on to win the Edinburgh Derby,
Hmm.
and they end up finishing third. You know, it could end up being a masterstroke, and they end up finishing where they want to finish. So it's tough on Robbie Neilson, but as you said earlier on, that you know he's done a brilliant job at Hearts, and you know he'll definitely get another job soon, whether that's in Scotland or even somewhere else. You know,
Yeah,
he'll
I do
definitely get
think
another job soon.
I do think he will get one in Scotland, and it's if you said to me at Christmas that what was his name, the Hibs manager Lee Johnson, if you said to me he'd outlast Robbie Neilson, I'd have said what you smoking. Because
Yeah, I mean
they were on a tail running form, and he's going to be in the dugout for like you said, Edinburgh Derby coming up, and Robbie Neilson loses his job. I just don't get it. I do think it's a terrible decision, to be honest.
yeah, I mean we'll need to see. We'll need to see how it goes. So we will now move on to the preview of this week's Champions League quarter-final matches. So the quarter-final matches that we played this week are Benfica versus Inter Milan, Manchester City versus Bayern Munich, AC Milan versus Napoli, and Real Madrid versus Chelsea. So Pearse, what match are you looking forward to the most?
I'm going to go for AC Milan and Napoli. I do think like AC Milan were the Serie A champions last season, but they've kind of been very inconsistent this season. They had a poor run of form after the World Cup, but in the last couple of weeks they did absolutely destroy Napoli in the league. But Napoli were missing the key man that is Victor Osimhen, who's the top goal scorer, and I, I'm fair to say he's going to miss the first leg as well through injury, but he will be available for the second leg, so that will be vital. So I do think that if Napoli can limit AC Milan to beating them just by the one goal or even getting a draw, then I think that'll be a fantastic result in going back to the second leg in the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium. With him back in the side, I think they're a different animal. But Napoli are just exciting to watch when you've got uh, Cavaradonna on the left wing and Osimhen, and you've got Lozano, you've got Politano, you've got Zielinski, you've got Zango and Guisa, Kim and Jay at the back. No, they're an exciting side to watch. And you never have thought that when you always key players like your record goal scorer Dries Mertens, Koulibaly to Chelsea, and Lorenzo Insigne, your captain as well. So I think they've done should business, and the fact is that they're top of the league and they're not tailing off. It's exciting, but in terms of Europe, they've never gone this far before. And it's obviously three Italian sides in the last quarter final is incredible considering there's only two Premier League sides and only one Spanish club as well. So just shows you the Italian football's kind of on the rise a little bit.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I get that's an exciting match. In my opinion, my match that I'm looking forward to the most is Manchester City versus Bayern Munich. You know, obviously two amazing teams. Uh, I'm I'm mostly interested to see how Tuchel. Obviously, he's just come in as Bayern Munich manager, but I'm interested to see how he'll set up against Man City. Um, because obviously Man City they've kind of picked up the last kind of few weeks in the league. You know, they're getting some good results. You know, obviously Bayern Munich they're kind of going through a transition at the moment in terms of a new manager just come in. So I'm interested to see how that'll go. Because um about last month I would have said Bayern Munich were my favourites to win the Champions League after watching them in the last round against PSG. But my mind's I've kind of started doubting them a little bit. Um, so I'm interested to see how they'll do against Man City. Um, I can't predict that much. I mean I would have said Bayern Munich a few weeks ago, but now you know I'm really not sure now. But no, that's I can see a lot of goals in that match. Um, And I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it. So I'm going to ask, what teams do you think will end up in semi-final?
Uh, I'm going to go a shock one for the first match. So the match between Benfica and Inter Milan, I'm going to go with Benfica. I wasn't impressed with Benfica, Inter Milan in the last round when they scraped through past Porto. Porto in the second leg dominated them, hit the bar, hit the ball off line like 4 times. Inter have been kind of adequate in the Serie A this season. They've not been great. They're struggling for form, and I do think Benfica, who have been flying this season domestically and in Europe, they topped their group when they had Barcelona and PSG in it, so it just shows you how good they've been. So I'm going to go Benfica to go through that round. I'm going to edge towards Manchester City, although I would say Bayern Munich before when Nagelsmann in charge, but I just don't know with Thomas Tuchel. We haven't seen a style of play. Although he has won the Champions League with Chelsea, I'm going to edge towards Man City because, like you said, they have picked up domestically in recent weeks, and I do think they've got the stronger squad in terms of going forward. And somebody like Erling Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne, the form they've been on at the moment has been ridiculous. And I'm going to edge towards Napoli against AC Milan. I just do think that second leg in Naples will be crucial for them, and I do think obviously the return of Osimhen in the second leg will kind of edge them through. Although I think Rafael might play a crucial part for AC Milan as well in Giroud. But I do think Napoli will go through that one. In terms of Real Madrid Chelsea, I only see one winner there, and that's Real Madrid. I just don't think Lampard has got the managerial ability to beat Real Madrid, and Real Madrid this is a competition. So I do think Real Madrid will go through in that one. What about yourself?
Yep. Um, for the Benfica Inter Milan match, I'm going to say Benfica. They've been amazing this season, and Inter Milan, they're going through a tough time at the moment. They've lost the last few matches, so there's a lot of difficulty with them at the moment. But I just can't see past Benfica. I just think they'll be too strong. Um, I did say that I wasn't sure about the Man City Bayern Munich match, but if you had to twist my arm, I think I'll just go Man City due to the fact that they've picked up form, you know, and I just think Bayern Munich at the moment, just the fact Tuchel's just come in, I think everyone's just kind of getting used to each other. I just think it's too big a match to for Tuchel to kind of get through. So I'm going to say Man City for that match. The AC Milan Napoli match, I think it's very interesting. I'm going to just edge Napoli on you just explained it, the fact that it'll be the second leg, it'll be back at Napoli. They'll have players back, but you've got to remember that only a couple of weeks ago, AC Milan beat Napoli 4-0
Yeah.
at Napoli Stadium. So, I definitely wouldn't rule AC Milan out of that at all. They're capable, as I've just done a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to go Napoli for that game. And the Real Madrid Chelsea match, I'm going to say Real Madrid. It's been a really difficult season for Chelsea. And I just don't think they've got enough to beat Real Madrid, who, as you've just said, this is their tournament, and they always turn it up when it comes to the Champions League. So, for the final part of the show, Pearse will now give his Asian football roundup.
Yes, so I think the major talking point in the Asian football roundup would definitely be Heung-Min Son reaching 100 Premier League goals, which is a fantastic milestone. How good a player do you think Son is, Tom?
Oh, he's a brilliant player. He's arguably one of the best Asian football players to come out of Asia. He's been amazing, and his record in the Premier League has been amazing, and his partnership with Harry Kane is right up there with one of the best partnerships in Premier League history. So brilliant player.
Yeah, because his partnership with Harry Kane is even though they haven't won any trophies, I think like you would always say they're a joy to watch. The pair of them, it's just that telepathy they have with each other. But to score 100 Premier League goals in just 260 Premier League games is unheard of, especially for a winger. But no, I don't think we'd ever said that when he arrived in 2015. But no, he's been very consistent in terms of the football at the weekend in South Korea. On Saturday there was Ulsan Hyundai beat Suwon Blue Wings 2-1. Seoul won 3-0 against Daegu FC. Pohang Steelers beat Gwangju 2-0. And on Sunday the Korean League was finished off with Suwon 5, Daejeon Citizen 3, Jeonbuk 2, Incheon United 0, Gangwon 0 and Jeju United 1. And that leaves Ulsan Hyundai sitting comfortably at the top with maximum points from 7 match days so far. In terms of the Japanese league, that was started on Saturday because there was a J-League Cup in the midweek, so all the games were started on Saturday and Sunday. Usually they have a Friday night league, which is always exciting to watch. But on Saturday, Yokohama Marinos 5, Yokohama FC 0. So that was a derby match with obviously when former Celtic midfielder Nakamura is the assistant manager at Yokohama FC. And on Sunday there was a full card of Cerezo Osaka 2, Hokkaido Consol Sapporo 3, Sanfrecce Hiroshima 1, Sagan Tusu 0, Vissel Kobe 0, Alberich Niigata 0. So Vissel Kobe's kind of near float start to the season has kind of tailed off a little bit in recent weeks. Avispa Fukuoka 2, Kyogo Sanga 1, FC Tokyo 2, Shonan Bellmare 2, Gamba Osaka 2, Kawasaki Frontale 0, Nagoya Grampus 0, Urawa Diamonds 0, and last but not least is Kashiwa Racel 1, Kashima Antlers 0, and I've done a match report on that, and that'll be on the Football Chuggu website to read. And that's all your latest Asian football news.
Thank you, Pearse, and thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be available to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
Bye-bye.